Hey everyone, I want to begin this quick talk on ethos with a brief story about my cousin Scott. So Scott graduates from East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina, and he gets his first job out of college. He's 22, he's just moved to Raleigh, and his first job is for a credit card processing firm. And so what he does, his job, day to day, 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday, is he drives around in his car, he goes to businesses, sometimes he has an appointment, sometimes he doesn't. He talks to the manager or whoever makes financial decisions for the organization, and he asks them, how much money does your current credit card processor take? Oftentimes that's 2%, sometimes it's 1.5%. His job is to sell them on his firm, which promises to take only 1.25%, thereby saving them untold numbers of money, depending on their gross sales for the year. And overwhelmingly, Scott hated this job because he was told no over and over and over again. In other words, his days were filled with so much rejection that he just couldn't take it anymore, and he ended up quitting the job and found a much better job somewhere else. But the point is that he was hearing no, but he wasn't just hearing no, he was hearing something that I think is vital to understanding ethos, which is he was hearing that people believed what he said, in a sense, that what he was saying was logical, it had logos. The idea of saving money had a kind of pathetic or pathos appeal to lots of people, but at the same time, they didn't know him. They didn't trust him because he was a stranger. They didn't know his organization. In other words, he had a really hard time establishing ethos, and there's a reason why in his book, The Rhetoric, in the year 500 BCE, that Aristotle says that ethos is the most important factor to persuasion. He says that there are kind of three characteristics to ethos, which we can kind of update for a modern terminology. But he talked about ethos as being, do you have the knowledge to effectively present on this subject? Good sense, he called it. Do you have character? In other words, are you trustworthy in general? Or are you somebody who will say anything to any audience? And then finally, do you have the specific audience's best interests in mind, or do you have your own self-interested reasons in mind? That's one of the reasons that people's hackles and antennas go up when they're in a sales situation, is that they feel like the salesperson is trying to pull something over on them, that they have their own best interests in mind to win that commission versus to sell somebody a product that really works. And so these people on the other end of Scott's presentation are thinking, I don't know you, there could be hidden fees, hidden charges, there could be some delays in getting the money, there could be literally any number of variables that they can't predict because they don't have that kind of a substantial relationship with that organization or that salesperson already. So we can talk about these things in more modern terms as identification. There's lots of research on identification where the ability of somebody to be persuasive in front of an audience goes way up if that audience perceives the speaker as being a part of their organization, their community, their tribe. In other words, there's a good reason why in the 2012 election, Mitt Romney talked about his campaign team debating strategy over pizzas and beer. There's a good reason why Obama fought charges in 2008 that he was a bowler or that he liked to drink beer. He wanted to be seen as a regular person. He fought the idea that he liked arugula on his salads and not just regular old iceberg lettuce because he wanted to be seen as a regular working class American Joe. And perhaps my favorite story of this idea that I want to be part of your tribe and present myself as being part of your tribe to achieve ethos and identification is Hillary Clinton famously downed a Boilermaker, a shot inside of a beer during the Indiana primary in 2008, and you could just sort of see her choking back that delicious drink and struggling all the way through it because that's a tough one. That's a tough one, Boilermakers. I digress. The second way that we can talk about ethos as identification is with a different term of art, and that is just with understanding. In other words, you don't have to necessarily be persuaded by somebody who is a member of your social community, your social network, your family, somebody who you think of as growing up down the street from you, but as long as you achieve an understanding of that person's ethos. This is the business person who I can trust. This is a person on behalf of an organization that I can trust, or this is a person who is like somebody that I know. So it doesn't require this one-to-one familial personal connection, but as long as you can achieve a kind of mutual understanding, I think that this is the gap that my cousin Scott was finding hard to bridge, then persuasion can become much more important. So I think it's for those reasons, this identification, this mutual understanding, as well as Aristotle's three characteristics, the good sense, general virtue, and goodwill towards the audience. We can talk about all these things as reasons why ethos, in Aristotle's terms, is the most important factor in persuading or influencing an audience.